Hey everyone, it's Kong with the 20th issue of the Langrisser Lookout. Back after a brief hiatus while I got myself mentally resituated after the holidays. That means this is the first issue of 2021. Let's hope this is a better year, right? In the spirit of optimism, I'm going to make this a better episode than usual. So let's start with the important stuff, the news. There's lots of good stuff to discuss this week, as we essentially got 2 months worth of new info from China, covering content that will be coming over to global servers in June and July. I'll be a bit more overviewy than usual just to get caught up on all this since it's a lot. So I'll get started with the new exclusive gear. In June, Nomi gets a hat that improves her 3C skill's self-buff, and dispels debuffs and gives some healing to allies benefiting from her talent. Pretty good. Melania gets a weapon that gives her an aura that makes allies within one space immune to heal reversal and curse of wounding. Kind of underwhelming, but she is a free SR tier support character, so okay. In July, Luna gets a custom King's Crown. Instead of giving plus 20% damage to one adjacent ally, it gives plus 15% damage to 2 adjacent allies. It also extends the range of her magic damage reduction talent aura and her Wind God Realm mobility aura by 1. So this helm is basically doubling down on Luna's newer function as a full-on support character. Helena gets a suit of armor that creates a ring of protective crystals around her after she acts. Standing on one of these tiles reduces damage taken by 15% and allows you to heal by 30% after getting attacked. Now, for new 3-cost skills, in June, Emmerich gets another one of those fun pick-a-skill skills. He can either grant a mini Emmerich talent aura to one of his allies, which causes -1 move and can't guard to nearby enemies, or an effect that removes debuffs and heals HP before combat. After he uses one of these skills, if he's faction buffed, then he can move up to 3 more spaces and attack. So it's a little bit of a range-extending support skill. I don't think it'll really make Emmerich a more prominent threat exactly, but it is interesting. Kuwabara gets an assist skill that boosts his offensive capabilities, granting him 2 buffs for 2 turns. One that increases his attack range by 1, and one that makes him attack twice, as long as he's attacking from melee range. So you essentially get to choose if you want extra range or extra damage. It also boosts his damage dealt by 20%. To be honest, I'm kinda surprised that there's nothing in here that boosts his tanking abilities, unless that range bump lets him counter at range, but the way it's worded makes me think it only works when he's the one initiating the attack. I could be wrong. It doesn't really matter much anyway. Finally for June, it turns out that hilarious fanfic 3C for Bernhardt was real after all. It's a bit of a kitchen sink skill, so bear with me. It passively does additional fixed damage within 1 ring after attacking, every 3 turns. There's an active component that is a new faction buff that increases damage by 18% when actively entering combat, so it won't work with something like Ares AoE, for example. This super faction buff also gives Bern some extra specific effects to him, plus 15% damage dealt, and plus 1 mobility, and the effects of his 2C skill, Hegemony, for free. It also boosts his other skill, so it'll either give plus 1 span on Sword Dance, making it kind of a built-in Balanced Blade, although you can of course put Balanced Blade on as well, plus 1 range on Shield Bash, meaning he can stun at range, and 25% physical damage reduction when tanking with Iron Fist. So, at first glance this sounds completely insane, but remember that you actually need to bring one of those skills along, and with this 3C equipped you can only choose one. Also remember that the PvE content Bern is mostly used for, namely Fenrir and Sleipnir, don't require a faction buff, so he's mostly there for his talent aura. So this'll mainly be useful for people who are running Imperial teams in PvP. Empire is getting sassy this season, so as long as there's no seismic shift in the meta before Season 7, then there will probably be a lot of people who could benefit from this. Now for 3C skills coming in July, Yulia gets a heavy-hitting ranged combo of some elements of her other skills. It dispels all of her debuffs, heals her for 30%, and removes 2 to 5 buffs from enemies before combat. It also lets her melee soldiers in on the attack, and reduces the cooldown if she kills the enemy with it. Alfred gets a single target attack that disables the target's passives and prevents them from being buffed, and lets him move afterwards with his leftover mobility. Vargas gets a new tanking skill that lets him guard at 3 range, reduces his chance of being crit by 30%, makes him immune to can't be healed debuffs, and gives him 2 more conditional revives. He still can't tank magic, but this skill just makes him even better at his main job. Now we have some new characters as well. In June we're getting Patsir, who's a new character for Dark Reincarnation and Langrisser Reincarnation factions. Her heteronormative gimmicks give her bonuses against non-female characters, and yes, Juglar is non-female. Her talent also inflicts an annoying stack of fatigue on anyone she damages, increasing their chance of being critically hit. If they collect a second stack of this, then they're stunned for a turn. Her 3C skill is a line attack, but it also comes with a passive component that permanently disables all enemy passives when she dies. Dark Faction really needed more AoE characters whose role is to make life more annoying for the enemy, so here we go, finally. Next in June we're getting Tawa, or Towa, a new character for Strategic Masters, Origins of Light, and Langrisser Reincarnation. Keebs, come back! Keebs! Most of her gimmicks revolve around hoarding buffs, so her talent boosts attack and defense for every buff up to 20%. Buffs received from allies have a +1 duration. She has a 1-cost skill that copies 3 of her buffs over to an ally, and her signature 2C skill is an attack that allows her to attack first if she's under the effects of a faction buff, and allows her to ignore guard if the target isn't faction buffed. Now, she needs Ares and Maya for her bonds, and they're both coming up on a Destiny banner very soon, so keep that in mind if you're interested in using her. In July, we'll be getting Sissy White, finally, a new character for Legion of Glory and Princess Alliance. Her talent and 3C together kind of work like Florentia. She stocks up tokens that she can exchange for various effects after taking her normal action. So her talent lets her summon a Lancer, or a Cavalry, or Infantry with some generic skills, and her 3C lets her choose between granting a huge, full healing, stat-boosting Act Again, or a smaller buff that lets her recharge her tokens more quickly. Other than that, she is more or less a utility healer, but any Act Again effect is always super powerful, so keep an eye on her. Finally, we're getting the Lord of Crimzo, a new character for Mythical Realm, Dark Reincarnation, and Origins of Light? Alright. This is basically Baby Rainforce, and try to guess what his gimmick is. Did you guess something about disruptive AoEs? He needs Brenda and Shalinka for his bonds, and they're not the most common characters in the game, so prepare accordingly. Now, in PvP news, belated congratulations to Autorun, who defeated Desu Life to become the Apex Arena Season 5 champion, so congrats on your win, Autorun. Apex Arena Season 6 is already underway with 2 weekends in the bag. Rosenseal and SP Elwyn are already seeing tons of action. How are you doing this season so far? If you PvP, drop your rank in the comments to let me know. The Season 6 playoffs will start on March 27th, which means Hilda will be in play before the playoffs even start, and Himiko will be in play before they end, so those are a couple new meta characters to keep your eye on. We've also got the Summit Der Langrisser Season 5, which also got underway this weekend, with 155 participants this time around. This tournament is going to be huge, so join their Discord, I'll put a link below, and follow their streamers to stay up to speed on all the action. The group stages are going to run until February 11th, and then the elimination stage will carry on through late March. Okay, so that's it for the actual news part of the Langrisser Lookout, and I can see that this is already getting a little bit long because I'm catching up on so much other news, so I think I'm going to break out the Kong update into a separate video. So thanks for tuning in, and thanks for your patience as I get my feet under me again this year. Stay tuned for the next episode of Should You Summon later this week, and of course definitely check out that Langrisser Lookout Part 2 Kong's update, which I'll be posting probably around the same time as this one. And other than that, I'll catch you in the next Langrisser Lookout, maybe in 2 weeks, maybe in a month. I'm kind of liking this monthly summary feel. Stay tuned and we'll figure it out together.